All right, I'll go ahead and open up the Fort County Commission meeting. This will be meeting 2020-28. And we have a first is a prayer, and then followed by a pledge of allegiance. We have Brian Van Arsdale, First Christian Church, with the missions and outreach.
All right, let's pray. Father, we thank you for the day and for just a beautiful sunny day we have here in Dodge, and we just pray your blessing upon this meeting, that wisdom would prevail and the tough decisions to be made and the discussions to be had, that it would just be a productive meeting and that we would honor you through. God, we do thank you for your son Jesus, and we just pray in his name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Brian. Okay, so one thing I'd like to do right off the bat is actually amend the agenda under the landfill rental agreement. I'd like to actually add in landfill discussion, possibly with action for permission to go out for bid as well. So we'll make that number 3.5. And we'll actually be discussing very similar equipment at that time, so with Director Paul Reesley. So I'd make a motion to amend the agenda to ask for permission to go out for bid for landfill.
I would second the motion to amend.
All right, with a motion second, any more discussion on that topic? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next up is the approval of meeting minutes 2020-22, 2020-23, the credit card statement for $16,508.13. And I think that's everything on the consent agenda. I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I second
Motion second. Any other discussion on that topic?
it. Mr. Chairman, as I was absent for this meeting, I did participate in part of it through a phone call, but
Right.
as I was absent for part of it, I believe I will probably abstain from this vote.
Okay. So we have a motion second. I'll go ahead and call a vote on that. All those in favor? Aye.
I will abstain.
Okay, next is approval for claims for payment. This is the amount of $1,141,136.25.
Make a motion to approve the claims for payment as presented. I second.
Okay, we have a motion second to approve the claims. I'll go ahead and call a vote. All those in favor? Aye. All right. We've come to the part of the meeting where it's open public comments. Please limit 5 minutes per individual, 15 minutes per topic. Final action may be deferred until the next county commission meeting unless an emergency situation does exist. When you come forward, just say who you are and where you live, and that will work. Motion, or the microphone is open. We had a busy weekend.
Yeah, just to give you a quick update. We had 51 calls for service Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I'm very happy to convey that we had no major fireworks issues over the weekend. Several very, very small fires, but nothing major. And as far as I know, we did not transport anybody to hospital fireworks injuries.
Okay.
Nice.
Wow.
That is beautiful.
Is that a first?
No, I wouldn't say so.
Okay.
But, you know, I don't know that there wasn't people.
Right, right.
But we did not.
Right.
transport anybody, so, I'd like to hear that.
I had a chance to go into a couple of the fireworks stands and talk to owners, and they were very surprised about sales this year because they basically were selling out of everything. and calling in favors to get extra shipments.
We had two that we went to inspect Saturday night, they were closed because they were sold out.
Yeah.
Good
Impressive.
here, everybody was very responsible. Had a good time.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Be interesting to hear if 911 calls were up just for that time frame. They were. Yeah.
We had 5 in Saturday night, and it was all we could do to keep up.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah. It was busy.
Busy night? All right, if that is all, I'll go ahead and move on to legal counsel and talk about the Spark Cares resolution. Welcome, Glenn.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
You got a new look. You look just like Sean Fletcher.
My Sean Fletcher look.
You wear it well.
When I get to be older, I want to be like him.
I'm sending you a bill.
I know, you don't want to share.
No, I want you to share.
Belated happy birthday.
Thank you.
Chairman.
Thank you, thank you.
Okay, what we have this afternoon is Resolution 2020-10. This is related to the Spark program, and I'm sure you have some knowledge already about what's going on. Maybe you've even seen the template of this resolution as it's part of the process. And how I would characterize the resolution is it's basically an agreement being made between Ford County and the state for the funds that are to be distributed to Ford County as a part of the program. I was participating in a webinar a couple of weeks ago, and the program was kind of discussed in an overview. I think there was a program today, or was there a webinar today, which I did not get to participate in. But this was described as, a resolution that sets out what is expected between the counties and the state. One of the things that we were told as part of that webinar was that the terms of the agreement, get through the whereases, those are the terms of the agreement, and those are not something that we were supposed to go back and make different changes to, but they expect that the counties will approve this resolution as it is prepared. I think that if you read through the resolution, there are two major points of emphasis. The accountability for the funds that are allotted to Ford County, and also transparency in how the process works in terms of deciding where those funds go. There's examples of what those funds may be used for, examples of what those funds are not intended for. And so we're bringing it to you today because we need to have it in within the next week, I think, or week and a couple of days, that they want to have these agreements in place, and so that they can start distributing the funds. So I'll be happy to discuss any questions you have. There are a number of people in this room who know more about this program than I do, so happy to have any conversation with them.
As I read this program over, all I can tell you is that if we fill this out ourselves and send this in, there's a pretty good chance we'll get to cost us money in the long run. Because I guarantee you, this bureaucracy will really, this thing's not gonna be easy to fill out.
Well,
Do it right,
there-
without any mistakes. And it says right in there, if you make mistakes, you're responsible.
Right, and one of the discussions that's been going on is finding some assistance to help us in terms of making our accounting to the state for funds. Also, one of the things that was stressed is that the Office of Recovery is available to try to address any questions that you might have. If you're going through this process, to go to them to bounce So, and I think we've all agreed that, you know, that we've talked about, JD's the contact person for the county, but if you look at the forms and what's required, I think having someone or someones who have some kind of expertise or background in this is gonna be very, very important. And that's an expense that would likely be covered under, you know, the county would not have to pay for it out of pocket.
He says right in there that you wouldn't have to pay.
I was just gonna ask whether that was something that was gonna qualify as an expense under this in order to make sure that we stay in compliance.
Right. You know, and I think there are a lot of expenses, like we've tried to keep track since March, all the expenses that we have incurred on behalf, or the county's incurred for us. And I think those are reimbursable expenses as well. And so, again, though, having some expertise to assist us with that, I think makes good sense.
It is as well.
I think there is a group of people that have filled out for other counties in Kansas. They would be only second nature to have them do ours.
I think Debbie's been in touch with one of those firms.
Yeah, we had another meeting today with them.
Yes, I think you're right. I agree. I totally agree.
Reminds me of the lawsuit we were involved in the election deal. Somebody asked me why we used those people, we still who were quite a bit better at him. And I said, it makes sense to us. And this particular deal makes sense to me because I live in there, that's a part of the trends. Sometimes I read what I want to read.
So Glenn, we have.
You know that to be truthful.
So this will be resolution 2020-10,
2020.
and I know we got a copy of it from your office. It doesn't seem like there's really anything really to, I mean, kind of the first couple times we've read it, there's not really anything for us to ask questions to modify or change. It's more of just making sure we're doing everything the way it needs to be done. Are we supposed to designate somebody that would actually be a first, possibly a second?
That's not actually provided for
In
in
the
the
resolution.
resolution, but that is something that needs to be done today.
That's what we thought.
Today is the day that.
And I've already sent that.
I think
Oh,
Debbie's.
that's just a form that goes, it's not before us. Got it.
Right.
Okay. Okay.
So are you gonna read this resolution? It's only like 6 pages long.
I got it memorized. You just want to recite it?
You know, it's nothing worse than reading it in hard print when you're trying to read it on the
Oh,
telephone.
gosh.
Especially the rotary
Yeah.
Hey. Lack of
Man.
respect.
Man.
So are we supposed to vote on this today?
Yes.
We're going to fill out the papers that's already been filled out?
No, today it simply be a motion to adopt resolution 2022.
Right.
Let's fill out.
Mr. Chairman, I'd make that motion to adopt resolution 2020-10 for the coronavirus fund resolution. Coronavirus relief fund resolution.
I second that.
All right, we have a motion and second. Any further discussion on this? Hearing none, all call vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Glenn.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Glenn.
All right, so that ends legal counsel, and we'll move on to the county administrator's report.
First item we have is the Crisis Center 2020 Emergency Solutions Grant CARES Act award.
It's good timing, huh?
I'm Penny West, and I'm the director of the Crisis Center in Dodge City. And we're here to request that you go to the Ford County would be the subrecipient for the ESG grant. It's actually carried for companies for doing different, more money for COVID-19. And so that would be $75,000 for crisis center.
Okay.
And we have a shelter that houses 16 women and children. Last year, we provided services to 31 families through the shelter.
Okay.
And this application also includes about $40,000 for Catholic Charities to provide rapid rehousing services, homeless prevention services. And so it's a joint grant through the county. So both organizations are covered in your approval.
Okay.
Do you have any questions?
Tammy, you said the county would act as, in what capacity here for this?
You're called the subrecipient. So
Okay.
in other words, the funds come to the Ford County.
Okay.
And then we work with Debbie. And then what we do is we submit monthly reimbursement requests. And then she sends those in to the ESG. And then they send the check to Ford County, and then she gives them.
Is it a use it or lose it feeling like
Yeah, I mean,
of the
what you
last
do.
one we just had? Yeah.
What you don't use, you send back.
Yeah. Okay.
And then Ford County is the administration as a part of that, through that grant.
Okay.
The big difference in this grant this year is that they're providing us more money and not requiring the match that we generally have to make. We usually have to make a dollar for dollar match. So that's gonna help our agencies a lot more. We don't have to use, fundraise dollars or things like that to help provide these services. So usually if we got $40,000, we'd get 20 from the grant and would have to come up with $20,000 from donated dollars, in our case, to be able to cover that. So we're gonna be able to provide more services with less challenge for us to come up when we can't do fundraising like we've been able to do
Sure.
and things like that, so.
Great.
So it's a really, very nice, for us this year.
Yeah.
That's us, the extra funds are gonna be able to help out with COVID, like our shelter was at capacity, but then we had 5 families that we either come from out of state or out of county or something. So we've had funds to be able to stay in hotels, be able to quarantine them until we can get them in shelter. So without those funds, you'd have a hard time doing things like that, providing food assistance.
We're seeing a lot of people come to our agency that have eviction notices because they've lost their jobs, they've lost hours because of COVID, that they need help with their rental assistance and the homeless prevention program, and here will help us meet those along with some of the donated dollars that we've received specifically for COVID response.
Have you seen a lot of those, Debbie?
We just have been really overwhelmed with calls from, of course, we serve the 28 counties, so, most of our calls are coming from Ford County, Finney County, and now we're seeing a lot more from Barton County. And, but we have spent agency-wide over $60,000 in helping people with rental assistance and utility assistance in motels because they've not been able to stay in the emergency shelters because they've been closed. So, and it's still, one day they approved, I think, 19 applications in one day from people that needed assistance. So we're concerned that as this goes on, for a longer period of time, that it's gonna, get more, but we'll continue to do it until, people aren't calling us anymore, we run out of money, because all the money that we're using for this are either specific grants or donated dollars.
We put 13 families in hotels because our unit capacity is shelter. So I think it's gonna be going.
And what is capacity at shelter?
16 women and children. So we have 5 bedrooms. So we have 5 families in the house. Every family gets their own bedroom.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve designating Ford County as the sub-recipient of the 2020 ESG CARES Act grant, Emergency Solutions Grant.
I second that.
Okay. We have a motion and second to approve Ford County as subrecipient for the 2020 Emergency CARES Act. We'll call a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Have a great day.
The next item we have is Compass Behavioral Health 2020 Emergency Solutions Grant.
You, Nicole,
Yes.
Thank you.
you're well. I guess it's a very similar request.
Pretty much, yeah. She said everything I needed to say, so we'll just go ahead and get the vote done. I'm Nicole Butler. I'm the program supervisor at Community Support Services for Compass Behavioral Health. And so, much like what they said, we have been awarded emergency solution grant funding. We had it in 2018 and 2019 to provide homeless prevention assistance. Compass has been informed of the intent to fund all existing ESG COVID funding for the 2020 grant cycle. Funding has been allocated at 200% of activities funder under the 2019 ESG awards. So this additional funding is made possible through the Kansas Emergency Solutions CARES Act. This federal grant provided by the Department of Housing and Urban Development, which is HUD, through the Kansas Housing Resources Corporation. Funding has been increased in recognition of the COVID-19 pandemic effects on homelessness. So we will be targeting the target population of severe and persistent mental illness. So we'll be working with those that are affected by mental illnesses. Compass Behavioral Health's homeless prevention budget, and you can see there, we will be providing short and medium-term rental assistance, utility assistance if necessary, rental arrears, security deposits, and utility deposits to help these folks get back up on their feet. This funding provides a unique and much-needed opportunity to make a significant dent in the number of individuals experiencing mental illness who are homeless in Kansas. Compass will continue to work with state and local partners to best utilize this funding. So what we're asking today is for an authorized signature on a certification of local government approval for nonprofit organizations receiving the 2020 Emergency Solutions Grant, CARES funding. On the back page, you'll see the services that we can't provide and some additional information as to what we can do. I will say much like what Catholic Charities, we do not have a match with this either. On 2018, 2019, we had a match. We do not have a match this year. So these are just funds that will be given to us to be able to distribute to the community and to our clients that need rental assistance, housing, or utilities or whatnot.
And the idea on yours is probably to keep them where they are currently and just assist, like maybe payments in the past and moving forward?
Yes. With homeless prevention, a lot of these individuals are at risk of eviction.
Yeah.
And so, yes, we want to keep them where they're at. And then, like I said, we can pay up to 6 months in rent so that they can get stable, whether they need to seek employment through our supported employment program, through our program, or obtain disability benefits or whatever to be able to maintain their residence. We could also evolve into rapid rehousing for individuals that are homeless, which we have seen quite a few, and then be able to use these funds toward those individuals as well to get them housed so that they're not, on the streets.
Would they go to Compass for this? Is that where the office would be?
Yes.
They would actually, okay.
Yes. The funding comes directly to us, and then we request reimbursement from the Kansas Housing Resource Commission.
Okay.
And then they come to us to request funding.
So what role do we need to play here again, Nicole?
We just need an authorized signature from you guys certifying that, you know, it's okay to be able to provide this service in our county.
Okay, this doesn't really need a motion then, does it? Okay.
Do the funds come into our organization and then we distribute them? They don't, right?
No,
They stay in yours?
Yes.
Interesting.
It's a little bit different than the other deal, we're gonna be the subrecipient this time, but.
Right. Well, I would make a motion that we approve and sign the certification of local government approval for non-profit organizations receiving 2020 Emergency Solutions Grant ESC-CV.
I would second.
Any further discussion with motion second? Hearing
Only
none,
thing I must say is thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
I'll call a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Nicole.
All right,
Thanks,
thank
Nicole.
you.
The next item we have is the landfill rental agreement and request to go out for bid.
Good afternoon.
Welcome, Paul. So for clarification, let's do these as two separate things.
Okay,
And let's talk about the rental agreement first.
okay. Well, right now, I've rented a dozer for 2 weeks to help us get by until we can decide what we want to do. It's just on a 2 weeks versus a month right now. This rental agreement will expire the 22nd of July. But, so I hoping at some point in time, we maybe can extend it if we need to extend it.
Okay.
It's through Murphy. They were the ones that had the type of dozer that we needed out there, so depending on how long it would take us to get something else bought or purchased, go from there.
Paul, when did you take delivery on this?
2 weeks ago, but we didn't start using it until last week, so Terry from Murphy's, this is the agreement that they got, they emailed it over to the county administrators.
Okay. So are we getting a month's use out of it, or we're getting 2 weeks use out of it?
Well, right now, we're getting 2 weeks use out of it, hopefully I can get a month or more out of it if I need to. I know it'll take a little bit to get one purchased, but just, right
I
now.
was looking over that the other day. How much is that an hour?
You know, I don't know how much it is an hour. You know, on a weekly rate, it's 2,400. I don't know what that breaks down to an hour. Typically, there's some days it'll get run the full 8 hours, there's other days it'll get run maybe 5 or 6, so.
Okay, so the reason I mentioned it is we got on this here $11,356 from June 24th to July 22nd. If we only use it for 2 weeks, are we hoping to use it for another 2 weeks for that amount, or are we looking at maybe getting some kind of reimbursement for the 2 weeks we
Well,
didn't use it, or?
If we, you know, on the monthly rate, it is a couple $1,000s cheaper. They started the monthly rate at $624, but we went back to a 2-week period, so the time frame was started a little bit different.
Okay. Because 2,400's not adding up.
No, no, it's not. Well, that's a
about
weekly rate, so.
$1,700 difference.
Yeah. And of course, this one's got winch is a separate rental on it as well.
So this commitment, this 11,356 is both 2019 and 2020 John Deere dozer and each GHH dozer winch?
Yes.
It's two different things, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That makes a little bit.
That makes a little bit more sense. I didn't realize we had to run both pieces.
Yeah. Typically, I didn't know how they rented them out, you know, when they requested it, because typically they come with no attachment or ripper attachment that's already there, but trying to pull a truck with a load and strap or chain, that's just not a safe way to be doing stuff.
I agree. I'm certainly not opposed to rent this dozer. And I'm a little bit concerned about our time and what this amount is, and whether that's, if we can get any clarification on that.
I could get some
Would be good.
clarification from Mr. Stebbins, I'm sure.
No, I think, because I'm not comfortable with $11,356 for 2 weeks.
Yeah, no, I'm not either, and I'm not sure, you know, the way I kinda had it figured, the 2 weeks was a 48, a little over 4,800 plus 850 for the winch, because it's $4.25 a week for the winch.
Paul, if we tabled this for just a little bit and we moved on to the next item, would you be able to step out and call him, you think,
Yes,
and
I
find
could.
out clarify
I could.
something for us? Is that agreeable, Mr. Chairman?
Sure. The next item is actually going out for permission to bid.
Bid the dozer.
So let's go ahead and move to that item.
Okay. And this wasn't one of the pieces of equipment I was considering bidding on, because I didn't feel like going, wasn't in our best interest at this time to purchase something new. With the downturn in the construction industry and oil industry, I'm sure there's enough of these things floating around that are in decent shape that we could pick up for considerably less than what this is. Set up identically the same, but considerably less. I just don't feel like trying to go out and purchase a brand new piece of equipment at this point in time is not in our best interest,
So, Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion to authorize Fort County Landfill Director Paul Resley to go out for bids for a dozer. Do you want to specify?
I'll make
You'll
the-
have to go through the bid specs.
Yeah.
Will you need a dozer winch as well?
Yes.
So it'll be,
Most of them, when you buy them used like that, they're already set up, so.
Correct.
oh, gotcha. Okay. I will second that. So with a motion second, any further discussion on going out for bids? I'll call a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
I'll go out and see if I can get a hold of it.
Thank you, sir.
Right now.
The next item we have is a stipend request for the vet coordinator.
Good afternoon.
Bid.
Batterers Intervention Program. So I did receive a mobile device stipend request form for this position. It had not been approved before, so the commission, it's presented to the commission. I asked for some detail on the purpose, and Tiffany Askew from the attorney's office sent me the message. It was probably in your information. The coordinator uses her phone to contact offenders to set up meetings, assessments, classes, other criminal justice personnel, and assist with ordering books. She has contact with victims of the offenders during the program process to discuss safety and other concerns. concerns. The cell phone is used for other work duties as well on a daily basis. Some of these tasks may occur after regular business hours, on weekends, or when she is away from the office. So those duties fall under the $40 per month stipend, the talk and text portion of the mobile stipend, if the commission chooses to approve this.
And the Batters Intervention Program falls underneath the county attorney's office?
The way I understand it, the program is a grant managed by Santa Fe Trails Community Corrections.
Okay.
Mr. Klecker's here to correct me if I'm wrong.
We contract with the Fort County Attorney's Office for the position.
For the position.
I'm trying to get my head around how all this works. So the BIP is a position that's provided through Santa Fe Trails Community Corrections?
No, it's provided through the Fort County Attorney's Office.
The program is a corrections program.
That's your program?
Correct.
Funded-
Actually, it is complicated. The program itself is through the Kansas Attorney General's office. And so we wrote the Behavioral Health Services grant to provide that locally in Ford County. And so the program coordinator is hired through or is a Fort County attorney's position in which they provide the service for Fort County. And we contract with them like we contract with New Chance and Compass Behavioral Health.
And does the grant not pay the stipend now? Like, wouldn't the grant cover the phone usage now if it's part of the job?
It's actually, no, it's through the Fort County Attorney's Office. All we do is we provide them a set amount of money a year, and then what they do is determine how that's going to get paid out, whether it's paid through salaries, training, supplies, things along that line. So it would actually pay for that through this, but it still goes through the Fort County Attorney's Office.
Okay, but that position is being paid for by grant funds received by Santa Fe Trails Community Corrections?
Correct.
And that money is sent by contract to the Fort County Attorney's Office?
Correct.
To provide that personnel?
Provide that service.
Okay, but in that capacity, they're not actually a Ford County, being paid as a Ford County employee, is that correct?
They are.
Is that right?
Okay, you're using a Ford County employee as somebody to fulfill that need, but it's actually being paid for through the grants provided to the Santa Fe Trails for Community Correction. You see where I'm going here?
I don't remember seeing a contract as to the details on what all expenses are covered for this personnel, but I know that cell phone hasn't been part of the deal before, which is why I brought it to you.
And I get that, but my question is this BIP is not really a Ford County, under a Ford County department or a Ford County position. It's not really in a job description of one of our employees. Am I incorrect here?
In the purest definition of an employee, yes. This coordinator is a Ford County employee, just as Mr. Clucker and his department is an employee. The way I understand it, the classes, the program, the literature, everything is funded through a grant managed by Community Corrections. They wrote the grant, they received the money, then they turn around, the way I understand it,
Okay.
and pay the attorney's office for this particular person.
And that's where I have the problem.
And where's the crisis center doesn't get involved in this? Is that, I guess
We
in my mind,
actually-
I always think of batter's intervention than a crisis center situation.
This is working with the perpetrator, not the victim, per
Okay.
se. And so we're dealing with the same issue, just two different sides of it.
Okay.
But you say here the victim.
Yeah, this does state that she has contact with the victims.
And that's a requirement of the Kansas Attorney General's office, is to have contact with the victim of the batterers who are attending the program.
I did try to contact Tiffany right before the meeting so that maybe she could answer some questions as to what this person does for their office. She was not available.
Okay.
You know, this isn't a lot. I mean, it's, in the grand scheme of things, it's $40 a month, but I'm having a hard time, as I understand it right now, it seems like we are, one of our departments is contracting to provide a service with one of their employees for a job description that's not really falling underneath Ford County's purview. And I have a problem with approving a stipend for that purpose there. And I may be misunderstanding something.
Explain who the employee is. We don't usually.
It says it on here.
Okay. So the reason, I don't know, I was talking to Glenn, so let me know if I'm stepping in where I should be. This employee cannot be supervised by the Director of Community Corrections due to their relationship. So in order to try to continue the success of the program and the services that are provided by this employee, an admin, instead of letting that employee go, we tried to work a situation with the county attorney's office to supervise and house that employee, so they would not be supervised by the Director of Community Corrections, to get around the family relationship.
Okay, so that whole deal aside though, my question is still about the service that employee is actually providing and whether that service is actually Ford County service or not. And I'm, you know, where it's Santa Fe Trail, it's administered by Santa Fe Trails Community Corrections, paid for by grant money that they receive, and contracted with the attorney's office in order to provide that person to fulfill that. I don't know why this is coming to Ford County to pay for that phone stipend.
I think one of the issues we've had here in Ford County since I've been here with Community Corrections is that there's always been a disconnect between the employees and where the money comes from. Now, that may not be what you're talking about.
You're right.
Okay.
Yes.
So the number one thing we have to think about as the county is that there are Ford County employees. Regardless of where the money comes from, they report to administration, to the county commission. So even though we are not funding them, they still report to us 100%. Now, they have grant reporting that they have to report back to the state or whatever, and that's why they come in here and they have requirements from the state that they have to come back to the county commission, do the advisory board, do that, to report every quarter, and that's why you see the record collector.
Okay, I'm not discounting or disputing that they're an employee, that they're our employee, I get that. But in this, are they, in this contract, are they actually performing a duty that is a county function? That's my question.
Not in the traditional sense.
Well, I would say that if they're not performing a county function, they're still performing a district function, which would still come out of the county.
So, would it help clear things up if we specified that this particular stipend would be funded directly through that grant?
Right. Well,
Which
that's
it
where my
would,
mind is.
Versus the county attorney is a general fund
Right.
office.
Right.
So this would, in my mind, have a grant fund line item. If that fits, and that's.
Or the other thing is, you increase the contract
Right.
amount
Yeah.
that you are paying for that person by the $40 a month to cover the stipend that we're paying. One or the other, but the task, I feel like, that is being performed by that employee is outside of our budget.
So if we go back and make that a grant requirement, and then we have to come back to the commission for it, because it's a grant, then it should be something that the corrections would accept. So that.
Well, I don't know whether Pat's going for that or not over here, but.
I just wanna know, so when we leave here, we have clear direction, so, if we try to investigate whether or not that will be funded by the grant from the state, then coming here for this stipend wouldn't make sense, because it wouldn't be the money that the county is getting. Does that make sense?
Yes, to me.
So that's basically what it comes down to. We don't want, you're saying that it doesn't make sense specifically to support a grant fund that's already supported by a grant with county dollars, more or less.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment, yes. Pat, you have other questions, sir?
Well, no, the only thing that I can say is that the amount of money that is being contracted through these expenses what we're providing would be more than enough to take care of that, the training, the everything else for that position. So it's really up to the county attorney how that money is going to get allotted. And so it would be paid through grant funds of this grant. I don't know the specifics about it, because what we looked at is just a specific amount of money that is getting paid to the county attorney's office. And it is more than just salary and benefits for that position.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to maybe get a copy of that agreement and have the county attorney's office maybe table this. I haven't seen that agreement. If it's my responsibility to verify, I want to make sure. But it seems like if the attorney's office, maybe they should be the ones that are here.
Well, I would agree with that. I mean, if that's the direct supervisor, I mean, that's who we want to have sitting there, is either
Or at least in the audience.
County Attorney
to answer
Salzman or
questions.
somebody to answer the questions of that employee.
Yeah, I think
And to make sure that they understand that the money they're getting from corrections includes this. Because I can't answer that for them. I don't know.
And if that's the way it's set up, and if that's the way it's covered, and he agrees with Pat that that's the way, that's all copacetic, then we can approve the stipend and it comes out of the attorney's budget, I guess. I would agree with that, but I wanna understand that relationship right there first. Please. Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to table this until the next county commission meeting.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion second to table. I'll call a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Sorry, that seems like a whole lot of discussion to get in over $40 a month, but I need to understand how.
Okay, so, Paul, did you get?
Yes.
Okay, come on up. So this goes back to the rental agreement.
Yes.
Did talk to Terry. John Deere had to put a date on it here for, this is a 2-week agreement. Right now, it expires July the 8th, which is Wednesday. The total cost on it is over $5,800 at this point in time. He said the reason they put the end date as 7/22, so we did not have to send a new renewal agreement into administration at this point in time. We want them to come pick it up Wednesday, then it stops Wednesday. If we wanted to keep it for 2 weeks, then it'd be the same price as this first 2 weeks.
It'd be another
$5,800.
Exactly.
Okay.
Although, with that said, a monthly agreement's a tad bit cheap, a couple $1,000 cheaper than 5 months, so.
Did he say he would honor a month-long agreement if we had it on for another 2 weeks?
He didn't say that. He said just right now we divided it by 4, well, for the 9,500, the price of the winch, and this is what they come up with.
I'm sure you'll work with you any way you want to go.
Gary's been pretty easy to work with.
Next question is, do you need it another 2 weeks?
Yes, I could use it up until we get one bought. So however long that may be, hopefully quick.
Interesting to see if they could bank some of this money against the purchase.
He didn't have a lot of time, and I didn't have a lot of time to discuss this, but ask him that question, is if this would go towards a piece of used equipment as well as a piece of new equipment.
We're gonna try to find one of the wrench on the back of it, right?
Yep.
I thought that's what she was trying to say.
Yep.
So to speak this the way it needs to be done is you're looking for a rental agreement with Murphy Tractor for the equipment you currently have,
Yes,
and you're looking for it through July 22nd.
yes, at this point.
I'd make a motion to approve the rental agreement.
I second it.
Motion second. Any discussion on that?
Mr. Chairman, excuse me. I would like to maybe amend that to say that we would approve it through the 22nd, provided we get the monthly rental rate
Monthly rental rate, okay.
as opposed to 2 weeks plus another 2 weeks.
Okay.
If that means a couple $1,000.
I was guessing that was gonna be about 300. Is that, did he tell you an amount?
Well, he needs both those, because, he's talking about, you gotta have a winch to do it also, right, Paul?
Yes. So it'll be the
I'm
winch.
trying to crunch numbers there.
Don't know the numbers, yeah.
But I know why you need the winch. But you need to, that's the deal you need to make, you gotta make a long-term deal on the winch.
Yes.
All right, I would amend the motion to ask for the month's rental price.
Okay.
Would you second that?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Absolutely. And we don't know what that price difference is, correct?
Not at this point in time, but I will find out. What I have in front of me, but this was from the old agreement, was on the tractor itself is 9565. It's 1,700. So that would be pretty close to the 11,000 that it is. He divided this by 4.
I was thinking it's 5,800, and he's currently asking 11,356.
Yeah.
And you're about 200 and half off.
So that may not be as big a difference.
So that's what I was saying. 250's half the cell phone use. All right. I'll call the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Paul.
Okay, I'll get a hold of him and see what he can work out. Thanks, guys.
Hey, Paul, this second. I'll send this to you.
Okay, alrighty.
This is the guy's name right here, Alan Barton.
Okay, alrighty. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Paul.
The next item we have is the K-Camp Board of Trustee nomination.
So it's Kansas County Association Municipal Pool Board of Trustees, on behalf of the nominating committee, sent Ford County a letter detailing the process for submitting a nominee to be considered for service on the K-Camp Board of Trustees. The K-Camp bylaws and interlocal agreement states that an elected official from a member county or city is eligible to serve as a trustee for a 3-year term beginning the first board meeting following their election to the Board of Trustees. There may not be more than one trustee from the same city or county. Deadline submission is July 24, 2020. So we're way ahead of the deadline.
Sheriff, are you the, correct?
That's the one I filled out for
Yeah.
the meetings. They wouldn't move the meeting dates or locations. It's the same time I have the sheriff's stuff. I'm definitely interested. I think Brenda Pope would be good at it.
No, Brenda Pogue would not be good at
Is that a motion?
The
it.
meeting
No, Brenda
Thursday.
Pogue does not want to do that. Thank you very
Debbie's
much.
in here, Sarah's in here.
It's quite an ordeal to go through just the vetting process.
No.
When were the meetings? Why?
November, are all in
I
Topeka.
don't want that. Thank you.
It's pretty stringent. There's not, I think it's monthly, you can't miss any meetings. It's one of those, a lot of time and effort.
No,
I had
don't
honestly
even put
given
my
it
name
serious
on that.
consideration, but given the backdrop on it.
It's interesting watching all the electeds be up front and then all the non-electeds kind of lean back. Like,
That's why I spoke up right away.
Yeah, I saw that. You kind of did your body language. I saw the shoulder kind of.
Yep, there is no way.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know what you're looking at.
Yeah.
Like I said, it would, even if it was in Wichita, but
Speak.
I'd rather speak it too much anyway. And
It
it's,
would be really nice if we had a say on that board.
oh, and yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I went through the complete vetting process and in my resume, my bio. And then we got down to the wire on it, the dates and locations was, yeah, this ain't gonna work. So. But it-
Once a month.
Well, maybe.
Yeah, they got, like I said, you can't miss, I mean, they've got rules in there, missing, if you miss one, then basically you're on probation and then 2 up to dismissal, and it's just.
Why did you do that soon?
What I was gonna say is that now that we've been going through this COVID-19 thing, everybody's using Zoom meetings. So this might be the time to try that.
Does this have to be done today?
It's just for a 3-year period.
Yeah,
So-
but we've learned a lot, that a lot of jobs and functions can be handled by Zoom.
And the committees I'm on right now currently was some committees, working groups, we're doing all of them via Zoom, and it's phenomenal. So I guess if we could table it for 2 weeks and maybe do a little more research and see.
Yeah, we could hold a day to look and see if that would be
obviously, there's a lot we do with K-Camp.
Yeah, and I think we probably should be represented there.
Since that's
Well, I
an
think we
insurance
share-
group,
we've
I
got
think
some
we should have
concerns.
our insurance.
I don't think they want me. They'll let me right out that door.
You can make that motion to, you can make the motion to nominate Chris. If he doesn't pass, the nomination goes to Sharon. If he doesn't pass, it goes to Brenda. If she doesn't pass, it goes to...
No, it won't.
Is it a
be me.
domino effect?
I'm not writing a bio
Stepping up
out
for the
about
double barrel.
anything.
I don't disagree. I think it's something that it'd be good to have a seat at the table on. We are one of the larger counties, I know, out west. It's a good group, but, I think we all share some thoughts that would be nice to take to the table.
Yeah.
Table shouldn't be all right.
Do we have to do anything? I mean, it's, just comes up next meeting anyway.
You can just table to the next regular meeting. So it doesn't pop up on a special meeting you have on.
Right.
I'd be curious, though, JD brings up a valid point with COVID, and see if they could work their bylaws.
But you have a meeting that day it's normally met on?
There's usually, I know the year I was doing it, it was during conference. And I think that's what the issue we were having with you all as well.
I think it'd be interesting to see what the dates are of the meetings. I'd make a motion to table.
Next regular meeting.
Yeah.
I would second the motion to table to the next regular meeting.
And to be clear, that would be a motion to table to the next regular meeting, not just the next meeting. Since we had a lot of special meetings. All those in favor of that? Aye.
Next item we have is the National Association of Counties Voting Delegate.
Currently, County Commissioner Sean Tassett is the county delegate with County Administrator J.D. Gilbert as the county alternate.
Looks like a good fit to me.
Unless we're trying to slide him into a different role.
Well, they always give him his credentials right away when I walk up and I have to go through all the processes.
He gets
Metal
it every
detectors.
time.
Vetted every time.
Airport authority, JD.
We're not even here in port. It's okay.
I continue to sit on subcommittee, JD also does. Makes sense to leave it the same. What?
The honoriest looks from over there, man.
Brenda's just aching to get on something.
I'm staying till that, the meeting's
Crazy.
Commissioner Tassett, what'd you say again?
I say we both sit on subcommittees for,
Other board.
NACO, for the NACO, conferences, so, it makes sense to continue with these the same. And make a motion that we leave the delegates the same.
I second that.
I'll call a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Next item is upcoming meetings. Dodge City Days, July 23rd to August 2nd. Dodge City Roundup Rodeo, July 28th, August 2nd. Election News, July 14th, last day to register to vote. July 16th, in-office voting starts. July 28th, last day to apply for advanced ballots to be mailed. July 28th and July 30th, in-office voting 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. August 1st, in-office voting 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. August 3rd, in-office voting 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. August 4th, election primary vote.
Real quick, for anybody who is new at voting, we have a new person in my household that would actually qualify now. They just come up to register to vote upstairs, or is this something that's done online? Is it?
They can do it online, they can come up to our office, they can go to our website and download an application.
Okay.
And
register regarding their age?
They can they have to be 18 before election day. They can register, and we can put them on what we call suspense, 16, 17-year-olds. Then when they turn 18, they will automatically put them on. We
Okay.
recommend no before, not before 17, but we have had.
So my son will be 18 on the 1st of November. He's super looking forward to voting on the election. So I need to make sure that he gets registered, so.
Right. Now, he can, by then, there's another registration deadline date. This is just for the primary.
Yeah, he won't be old enough by
Right.
then.
So he can register anytime, and we'll put him in as suspended until he's 18.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. I would make a motion to adjourn.
Thanks, second.
All those in favor? Aye. Thank you.